when it comes to shrimp, it seems like it should just be something simple, right? Like it's just shrimp. You buy it at the store, you thaw it, you season it, you cook it. But it's a little bit more complicated than that, and it all starts when you're at the grocery store itself. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Barbecue Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Christie Vanover, champion pitmaster, cookbook author, the girl behind one of America's top barbecue websites, girlscangrill.com, and a contestant on Food Network's Barbecue Brawl. I'm here to bring you some quick barbecue tips to help you up your barbecue game. Hey guys, time to check in on you and to see how you're doing with those New Year's resolutions. Did you set a resolution to lose some weight, maybe to cut back on some calories, or to just eat healthier? I know I did, and actually it's working. I'm super excited about it. I've actually cut out alcohol since Christmas, which has just made me feel so much better. And I've also been trying to eat a lot more fresh veggies, like you saw in my first episode of this season, all about grilled veggies. And I'm also eating a lot more lean meats. So that's why today I'm going to talk to you all about the intricacies of shrimp and grilled shrimp specifically. But let me know in the comments if you've set a resolution, if you're sticking to it, or if you're having trouble, and if you just need a little bit of motivation to kick you back into gear. So when it comes to shrimp, it seems like it should just be something simple, right? Like it's just shrimp. You buy it at the store, you thaw it, you season it, you cook it. But it's a little bit more complicated than that, and it all starts when you're at the grocery store itself. When you're at the store, there are so many different bags of shrimp that you're looking at right there on the shelves. You're going to see cooked shrimp, you're going to see raw shrimp. I'm going to go into the details of the kind of different ways that it can be prepared before you buy it. But the first thing I want to talk to you is about the size, because this is where it gets super confusing. On the bag, it's going to be marked with a size. It'll probably say small, large, medium, jumbo, colossal, extra large, extra jumbo, extra colossal. They just make up all of these marketing terms. Ultimately, what you want to know is how many shrimp are you getting per pound, and that's going to kind of give you a good idea of what the size of your shrimp are going to be. Personally, my favorite size of shrimp to cook is a 16 to 20 per pound, which means I'm getting 16 to 20 pieces of shrimp per pound. And the shrimp bags are usually sold in either 16 ounces or 32 ounces. But where it gets confusing is when you throw in the terms like jumbo. Like you would think, okay, a jumbo shrimp is going to be a pretty large shrimp, right? Well, I mean, you might even think a large shrimp is a large shrimp, but in reality, a large shrimp is going to be smaller than a jumbo, and a jumbo is going to be smaller than a colossal. But not all jumbo shrimp are created the same. As an example, I went onto Instacart and just pulled up shrimp from different grocery stores, and here's the variety that I saw. Sprouts has jumbo shrimp, and it is 16 to 20 per pound. At Albertsons, their 16 to 20 per pound is called an extra jumbo shrimp. When you go to Sam's Club, their jumbo shrimp has 21 to 25 pieces of shrimp, which means that there's more shrimp per pound, making it smaller per pound. And when you go to Walmart, there were two bags next to each other. They both said jumbo shrimp. One was 21 to 25 per pound, and one was 21 to 30 per pound. The only difference is that one was peeled and one wasn't. But again, they were called jumbo shrimp. There was the variety there. Jumbo shrimp is all over the place. So if you see a recipe that calls for jumbo shrimp, I would say look for something that says 16 to 20 per pound. That to me is going to give you a really nice, large, succulent shrimp. If you do get the jumbo shrimp that's like 21 to 25 or 21 to 30 per pound, they're just going to be smaller, which means they're going to cook up a lot faster. So there's really no way to tell what shrimp the cook used in the recipe unless they actually give you the weight and the number per pound. So you're just going to have to kind of play it by ear and just kind of look at it like I do with all cooking and just like see if it looks done, or use your thermometer to see if the temperature is done. But if it's a smaller shrimp, it is going to cook faster in most recipes. The origin of the shrimp is going to vary by different grocery stores. I would say most grocery stores are going to carry shrimp that's from the Gulf of Mexico or maybe even farm raised. But when I looked at the shrimp from Walmart or Sam's Club, I can't remember which, it was actually a product of India. So it was raised over in India and then packaged and shipped to the US. So it comes from all over the place. The flavor of shrimp can vary depending on what waters that it's grown in, because obviously the flavors of the waters, it's going to create just a taste to the meat itself. Just like grain finished cattle or grass finished cattle, there's going to be just a different taste to it. I would say though, if you look for shrimp that's kind of got that brownish pinkish hue, it's all going to be pretty mild, a little sweet, a little salty. If you see some shrimp in the supermarket that's like bright red, that's still raw, that's usually an Argentine red red shrimp. To me, that has such a unique, different taste. I don't love it as much as like the Gulf raised shrimp. It just has more of a, I don't know, more of a punch to it. It's just a different flavor. So just keep an eye out for that. But if you go for the brownish pink like color of the raw shrimp, then that's pretty standard of just that mild kind of American flavor that we're all used to. Another thing to look at when you're in the grocery store picking out your shrimp is how the shrimp is prepared and ready for you. So there's going to be two types of bags. There's going to be cooked shrimp and there's going to be raw shrimp. The cooked shrimp bags usually are like pink or red labeling to kind of let you know that they're cooked. And the shrimp themselves are going to be pink because they've been cooked as well. You're not going to want that if you're making grilled shrimp because it's already cooked. The raw shrimp, on the other hand, are going to be a totally different color labeling, usually like blue or gray, but something that stands out. And when you look at the shrimp, as I mentioned, they're going to be kind of a little bit translucent and have that brownish pinkish hue to them, instead of being like more opaque like the cooked shrimp that are going to be more pinkish red. Now, when you are picking out your raw shrimp to grill, I highly recommend that you get peel on deveined shrimp. Let me talk to you about those two things. So peel on means that the peel is still on there. So you're going to keep those peels on. I'm going to talk to you about why that's important in a second. The deveined is really super important because it's a time saver. It does make the bag cost a little bit more, but honestly, it's worth the extra couple bucks for me because deveining shrimp is a pain in the butt. When I talk about deveining shrimp, what that means is if you hold the shrimp by the tail, the back side where it curves, there's going to be a vein, or basically it's a digestive tract that runs across there, like the intestines of the shrimp. So if you slice down that back, you're going to be able to take that out because you don't really want to eat that because it's the poop chute. I'll just say it. Like you just don't want to eat that. You want to take that out of your shrimp. But it's kind of a pain to cut each little shrimp and pull it out. So if you buy deveined shrimp, they've actually already done that for you. And the cool thing about shell on deveined shrimp is that the shell is still on, but they've cut it to take out the vein. And that means when it comes time to peel it, it's already been cut. So you just like rip it right off and it comes off super easy. Otherwise, if you get shrimp that's not deveined with the peel still on, then it's not going to be cut. And so that peel is going to be kind of like tight all the way around there because it hasn't been released, which just makes it a little bit harder to peel. The other kind of raw shrimp that you can get is deveined tail on. Instead of the whole peel being on, it'll just have the tail, kind of like the little handle that holds the meat, but the rest of the shell is going to be taken off. The vein will be out and the shell itself will be off. And that, again, costs a little bit more because it's more work on the butchery side from the production standpoint. So they're having to devein it and they're having to peel it. So they just add on another couple bucks or so. You can get those, especially as a time saver, no problem. But still, I like the peel on deveined. And the reason for that is because the peels add so much flavor to your shrimp, so much more than a shrimp that's already been peeled. Think about it. When you're cooking other proteins like pork or beef or chicken, when you cook it with the bone in, you're getting more flavor to that meat because of the marrow and other nutrients within the bone. Same thing with shrimp. They don't have bones, but they have that shell, that peel that's got a lot more flavor that just kind of intensifies the meat. It also helps protect the meat on the grill and just kind of helps insulate it and locks in moisture as it kind of steams and grills all at the same time. People often ask me whether or not to buy fresh or frozen shrimp. I'm going to be honest, unless you live on the coast, all of your shrimp has probably been frozen. So even if you go to the butcher counter, the fishmonger area, and you're like, hey, I want a pound of shrimp, and it looks like it's not frozen, it probably was previously frozen. What they basically do is just grab the same bags of frozen shrimp that you get in the freezer section and then they just dump them into the case and let them thaw. And then it looks like fresh shrimp. I mean, there'll be a little sign that says previously frozen probably because I think they're required to do that, but it's not fresh shrimp. The only way you're probably gonna get fresh shrimp is if you live in a coastal town where they're actually farming for it fresh daily and they're bringing in that fresh shrimp, which if you do, amazing because that shrimp tastes incredible. But for the most part, those of us who are in a desert like me in Las Vegas or in the middle of the country, you're most likely getting frozen shrimp, which is perfectly fine. There's one more thing I want you to look at when you buy your bag of shrimp. I know it should not be this complicated. I'm sorry, it is. It just is. But look at the ingredients. If you're buying shrimp, you want to look for a bag that just says shrimp and it may say salt on it as well. On the front of the bag, it will probably say all natural, or it could say no chemicals added. Those are signs that you're most likely just getting shrimp and salt. If you turn the bag over and you look at the ingredients, That's key. And here's why. It's because there are bags of shrimp out there that have additives like sodium tripolyphosphate. I know that's a big mouthful. Like, why do you need tripolyphosphate in your shrimp? And what is sodium tripolyphosphate? Well, it's actually a chemical compound. You can find it in detergents and soaps, but it is also considered food safe at low levels. And what it does is it changes the pH balance of the protein, and it helps to kind of lock in the moisture to give you a more succulent shrimp. So it's just kind of a chemical way to make your shrimp taste better. It's up to you if you want to eat that. I mean, I've eaten it plenty of times when I've cooked shrimp because I didn't know any better. And honestly, when you go out to restaurants, you really have no idea whether they're using that type of shrimp or all natural shrimp either. It's just the complicated world that we live in when it comes to purchasing food and eating different foods. But if that matters to you, whether or not you have sodium tripolyphosphate, what a mouthful, in your shrimp, then make sure you look for that all natural, no chemicals added. Look at the ingredients just to be safe. You just want to see shrimp and maybe some salt. All right, now you've got your perfect shrimp, 16 to 20 per pound, peel on, deveined. It's got that little tail on there too, and it's all natural. Now it's time to finally get home and get cooking. First, let's talk about how to thaw it. I find the easiest way is to just put the bag in a bowl and stick it in the fridge, and usually by the next morning, it's going to be thawed enough for me to go ahead and start seasoning it up and getting it cooking. If you're in a rush though, shrimp thaw super fast. One thing I like to do is just put it in a big bowl, dump the shrimp in there, and then pour water right on top of it and just kind of mix it with my hands until the shrimp kind of break apart into their individual pieces. Dump that water and just do that a few times. And honestly, within, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes, your shrimp is thawed and it's ready to cook. You do want to pat it dry with a paper towel, whether you thaw it in the fridge or whether you thaw it in the sink with water. That way you're just going to get better kind of grill marks instead of so much steam. You're going to kind of take out some of that excess moisture. When it comes to seasoning shrimp, you just want to use some oil, like avocado oil. You could use some olive oil too if you want. And then my secret to the best shrimp on the planet is adding in some sesame oil. You don't need a whole lot. You're just gonna do like just a little couple drizzles, maybe a teaspoon per pound. But that sesame oil gives you like this umami flavor that is just undeniably amazing. It just adds so much richness to the shrimp that I use it every time I grill shrimp. In addition to the oil, which is just going to help it not stick and add flavor, you want to add your spices. Personally, I love putting my pork rub on shrimp. I think it tastes great. My chicken rub is really good on shrimp as well. You could also just use like a seasoning like Old Bay, like a seafood type seasoning, or you could throw on just some salt, pepper. However, word of caution, shrimp by nature is naturally salty. It is a saltwater crustacean. So you don't want to add too much salt, otherwise you're going to really over salt the dish. So that's why I think using like a mixed blend of rub that's not too salty is just the perfect mix. Then once your shrimp are seasoned, you're going to want to heat your grill to high heat. We're going to go with direct heat, which means that the heat source is directly under the grill grates, whether it be charcoal, whether it be your gas grill. You can also use a pellet grill. You can use like a Ninja grill or a Ninja sizzle, which I talked about in the podcast last week, but set it to 400 degrees or high heat, which however your kind of grill works. Then once your grill is preheated, go ahead and just dump that whole bowl of shrimp right onto the grill. If you are cooking over direct flame like a gas grill or charcoal grill, just be cautious. There may be a little bit of flare-ups if you have too much oil in your bowl, because that oil is going to hit down onto the flames and it, could go up a little bit. So just don't necessarily totally dump it, but just like gently, kind of push the shrimp out onto the grill. But you don't have to go like one by one and place one piece at a time. And I actually don't recommend you do that, because by the time you get all your shrimp on the grill, that first shrimp's going to maybe be done cooking. So the best way to do it is to just kind of dump all of the shrimp on the grill at the same time. Then use your set of tongs to just even them out into a single layer, and then they should just be flat on the grill. You can go ahead and close the grill lid if you want to, but it's only going to take 3 to 5 minutes, and then it's going to be time to flip the shrimp. Because we're cooking over high heat, you're going to get those sear marks pretty quickly, so you'll go ahead and flip it, and then they will be done in another 3 to 5 minutes. It is a super quick dish to cook up, which is why I love shrimp so much. So if you want to be sure that your shrimp is done, there are a couple things to look for. It's going to change color from that brownish pink we talked about to more of an opaque, kind of brighter pink. That's a sure sign that it's done. You can also use a thermometer like a ThermoWorks ThermoPen and measure it. 145 is the recommended USDA temp. You could go like 140-ish and then kind of let that carryover cooking happen. But one thing you don't want to do is overcook shrimp, because when you overcook shrimp, that's when it becomes rubbery and it's just the texture's not as enjoyable. So just let it go like 3 minutes on each side, maybe up to 5 minutes if it's a super windy day or something's affecting the cook a little bit, but just 3 to 5 minutes per side. Then take it off the grill immediately and go ahead and put it back in a clean bowl, and then it's ready for any recipe that you want to make. You can go ahead and serve it just like that with some lemon wedges and some cocktail sauce. I've got a cocktail sauce recipe in my Girls Can Grill Holiday Grilling Cookbook. You guys can check that out. I think it's also posted on girlscangrill.com. Cocktail sauce is basically just like horseradish forward, like tomato-based sauce, which is great with grilled shrimp. Other things you can do is go ahead and peel the shrimp, because remember, we are grilling them with the peels on. We want to take the peelings off before we mix it into any dish. You can mix it in with some pasta. You could put it on a grain bowl. It's great in a po' boy, just like layer it into a sandwich and have a nice grilled shrimp sandwich, or you can even toss it on your salads. One thing I love about grilled shrimp is you can also just save the leftovers, throw them in the fridge. I do like to peel them before I store them, because I find that the peels come off a little bit easier while the shrimp is still warm. But I peel them, throw them in the fridge, and then I have protein snacks that I can just eat throughout the day. So when I get that little hangry urge for some kind of protein, instead of reaching for a cheese stick that's going to be a little bit higher in fat and calories, I can just reach for a couple of shrimp. I can enjoy them cold. I can dip them in the cocktail sauce cold, and it just really cures those little hangry moments. And then it just helps me stay on track with my New Year's resolution of eating a little bit healthier and eating a little bit more lean meats. I hope you guys found this information helpful. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hit that like button, leave me a comment, let me know what your New Year's resolutions are or any questions that you have about grilled shrimp. Until next time, guys, you can find hundreds of barbecue recipes at girlscangrill.com, including my recipe for the best grilled shrimp on the planet. You can also find thousands of barbecue tips on my websites, and don't forget to visit me on all the socials at Girls Can Grill. Until next time, guys, happy grilling!